I start my presentation, I want to ask each and every one of you to close your eyes. Now I want you to imagine yourself in your favorite Halloween costume, trick-or-treating down the street that sells like king-size candy bars. Now open your eyes. Well, for me, my favorite Halloween costume was when I was around 3 years old in the Winnie the Pooh costume. And this sparked my curiosity of where did Halloween even start? Well, I did thorough research on how Halloween began, the history of Halloween, and how we celebrate Halloween today. What I found the most interesting was that Halloween today is more commercialized than the way it used to be celebrated as a religious holiday. So I'm going to start off where Halloween began, and that is during the Celtic era. Well, it wasn't actually Halloween, it was Samhain. It was more of a religious holiday for them. It was their New Year's Day, the Harvest Festival, and it was the day that they celebrated the Lord of the Dead. On this day, the Celtic druid priests would make human sacrifices of either criminals or captives, and they would sacrifice them to please the Lord of the Dead. Another thing about this holiday was on this day, they would light a purity flame, and they believed on this day that the purity flame would ward off all evil, because they believed that on this day, the dead will emerge in ghost form and visit their old homes, and that was the only way they can ward off evil spirits. Well, we don't celebrate the more gruesome part of this holiday, but there was one thing we take away from this holiday, and that is the modern creatures that we celebrate today. They created the ghosts, goblins, witches, and wizards, and many more creatures that we read today. Well, now I'm going to head about 1,000 or so years into the future, and I'm going to go to Ireland. The Irish people are credited for creating many of our modern holiday traditions, including the jack-o'-lantern, bobbing for apples, trick-or-treating, and many more activities. And they are the ones who helped bring Halloween to the U.S. Well, if you ever heard of the story of The Beetle and the Bear by J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter series, this story is pretty similar of how the jack-o'-lantern came to be. The story is of an Irish man named Stinging Jack. He loved to play tricks on everyone he met, and one day he played a trick on the devil. He forced the devil to run up the tree, and when he went up the tree, he put a cross on the bottom and trapped him. And he promised he would let him go if he were to make sure he would never go into hell, and he agreed. But when the day came and Jack died, he went to heaven, and the angel Gabriel denied his entrance as he wasn't the nicest of people, and he sent him to hell. But when he went to hell, the devil reminded him of his promise he made years ago, and said he could not go in. But before he left, the devil gave Jack a lighted ember from the pit of hell. And when Jack died, he actually brought a turnip to the afterlife as it was one of his favorite objects. So what he did, he cut a little hole in the middle of it, hollowed it out, and put the light of ember inside. And that was his candle that he took everywhere in earth, so he'll never walk in darkness. Well, the Irish people heard this story, and so every year they would either cut out a rutabaga, potato, or turnip, cut it out, hollow it out, put a light in it, and they believed they could ward off all evil spirits, and of course, Stinging Jack. Well, it wasn't until the Great Potato Famine that the Irish moved to America that they realized that cutting out pumpkins were a lot easier, and that is why each and every year we cut out a pumpkin and put a light into it. Well, now I'm not going to talk about a specific part of the world. I'm going to talk about the Christians and how they celebrate Halloween. What I found the most interesting was the Catholics actually adored this holiday, especially Pope George IV. He moved the Day of the Dead, which was a day to remember all lost souls. That was on May 13th, and he moved it to November 1st in order to spin off of the holiday Halloween. Even though the Catholics and many Christians celebrate Halloween, there is still some groups to this day who detest this holiday, including the Jehovah's Witnesses and some Protestant groups. Well, as I mentioned before, the Irish people helped create many modern activities we celebrate, including bobbing for apples and trick-or-treating. Well, they had a cute little quirk in the 1920s, 1930s when we celebrate the Halloween we know today. When it came to bobbing for apples, they would put a little object in the middle of the apple, and whatever apple you picked was the feature you were to behold. And when it came to trick-or-treating, it wasn't little kids who went trick-or-treating, instead it was adults. And they would go knock on each and everyone's door in order to find a husband. Well, I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation that commercialization is really affecting this holiday, and the fact that commercialization is making big profit. And in the great words of Charlie Brown, good grief, what has commercialization done? Well, I have two pictures here. The one on the left, I have a question. Raise a hand who knows who this person is. Well, raise a hand who knows who this person is. as they figured more people would know who Jack Skellington is compared to Medusa herself, as big corporations wanted to gear more towards children instead of the traditional Halloween that once was. Well, I kind of like commercialization, but I kind of wish we could have more of the old Halloween. Maybe not the Samhain Halloween, but the 1920s, 1930s with the cute little quirks that each activity had. Well, it was my pleasure today to talk to you about the history of Halloween, and hopefully next Halloween I sparked your curiosity even more.